Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, please welcome to the stage your Nerve 2014 host, Eric Kalis.
Welcome to the city of brotherly love. We're so very excited. The EO Philly chapter is so excited that every 17 years, it comes around to each city, and this is our big shot. So thanks so much for coming. We're really happy to have you. My personal journey in EO started about 11 years ago when I was really lonely running my little business out of a basement. And 11 years later, I can honestly say it's the best thing I've ever done for my business. So because I'm very EO, Ted calls me up, Ted McLaughlin, former EO regional director, and he says, yeah, you're a marketing guy. Do me a favor, write us up a little proposal. I want to make sure that Nerve comes to Philly in 2014. So I write up the little thing, I send it over, and you know what? We got it. Then Ted says, yeah, thanks for getting it. Just run the whole thing now, will you? I said, okay, not a problem. Thanks, Ted. You owe me a year and a half. But seriously, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm not quite sure you realize where you are. You're in the middle of America's most historic square mile. Right now, where we're sitting on Market Street in Philadelphia are the same streets that Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington walked on a daily basis. And we wanted to make sure that one of our goals of EO Philly, Nerve in Philly, was to make sure you got a little taste of exactly what you're in the middle of here. So over the course of the next couple of days, I'm going to give you little tidbits about Philadelphia to kind of give you an idea of where you are. And we specifically picked this this hotel, because we wanted to make sure that it was here in the middle of all the action. Our event is 100% walkable. You won't have any buses or transportation. You'll get a good chance to really feel what Philadelphia is all about. And you know who Philadelphia's favorite son is, right? Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin is the guy that we're going to be paying tribute to because he's the original entrepreneur. If you think about it, there's even books written about him calling him the very first American. And we wanted to make sure that you got a taste of the power of his entrepreneurialism that maybe you could take back to your offices and make little changes to your business and personal life to improve that. So the first story that I'm going to tell you about Benjamin Franklin is about the junto. In 1727, Benjamin Franklin said, I really need to kick it up a notch. I'm going to start a group called the Junto. And Junto was basically a bunch of business owners in the Philadelphia area that got together once a week at a tavern, and they started to talk about things that they can improve in their business, family, and personal lives. Does that sound familiar to anybody in this room? So I thought the Junto was a good start, a good place for us to start. And here I'd like to welcome you as honorary members of Benjamin Franklin's Junto so that in the next 3 days you can kind of feel some of that improvement as well. So let's kick it off in fine style. The Junto here is all about self-improvement. And there's another guy like Ben Franklin that he was also into self-improvement, and I'd like to introduce him now. His name is Verne Harnish, and he founded the Entrepreneurs Organization 8 years ago. Sorry, I should know that. And Verne was very kind to allow us to have him beam in from Barcelona where he lives, and he's going to be joining us in a second. But I wanted to tell you my story. When I started in EO about 11 years ago, one of the first events I was invited to was a Verne Harnish live presentation on the campus of Princeton University. I don't know anything. I'm going to my first EO or second EO event. And I got there, and the guy turned me on to so many concepts how I could think differently about my business. So here I am, now your Nerve chairman. The first guy I wanted on the agenda was Verne Harnish. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to Verne Harnish.
Hey, well, Eric, first of all, thank you very much for that introduction. And you guys, welcome EO Nerve. And first, I want to give a quick shout out. It's unbelievable how many of the graduates from the MIT Birthing of Giants and EMP program are actually now speaking at this Nerve event. Michael Maddock, welcome. Rudy Carson, Barrett Ursick, Andy Bailey, and my new partner, John Ratliff. In fact, like Dick Vermeil, John and I are even partners now in a new wine deal here in Spain. And Doug Diamond, thank you for being there as our Gazelles coach to lead that 7 Strata session. I don't know if you guys realize, we are witnessing an unbelievably historic week. The very first computer program actually passed the famous Turing test. And one of the key performance indicators that we've really been getting companies as well as countries focused on is this idea of robots per capita. You know, it's kind of crazy right now. Today in Barcelona, we have a taxi strike, which I think is crazy. You know, we're looking at driverless car here that Google just reported out in its first 1,000,000 miles only experienced one accident. And that was because a human actually rear-ended the Google car. And if we don't think that the future's now, down in Australia, where they've been having all kinds of challenges with striking miners, Rio Tinto has gone to China and has purchased these GPS-driven mining trucks that don't need any humans. In fact, one of the studies that we've been pointing out is Oxford put out last September that looking at the 702 jobs that exist in the United States, 47% of those jobs are going to be replaced this generation by robots. In fact, Ben Franklin is near and dear. My children go to the Ben Franklin International School here in Barcelona, and I led their 5-year strategy session last year. And this was a serious thing that we took a look at because, look, it's the professions that are going to be replaced first. Rick Sapio, a dear friend that many of you know with mutuals.com, you know, it's a very complex tax thing that he has to submit. Once his fancy tax accountants finish with it, he clued me in that he turns it over to H&R Block's corporate division, and they end up with their computers finding about 30% more savings than what his fancy accountants could find. Our children are in love with this new show, Almost Human. You know, it's a typical cop show, but in this case, the sidekick is a robot. And so one of the initiatives, just in fact announced today, is we're going to be partnering with IBM to figure out how we create a sidekick for our coaching partners. And I think of Rode Microphone to kind of wrap this up. They are truly a hidden champion. They're based down in Sydney, Australia, 200 employees. They are the #1 in the world for high-end microphones. In fact, when Barbra Streisand went on her last tour, she went to Rode Microphone to have them develop a custom microphone just for her voice. Anyway, they were manufacturing in China, but because of speed to market and innovation issues, they actually moved all of that manufacturing back down to Australia, back down to Sydney, but there are no people in the factory. And so, you know, I think we, first and foremost, given the historical events that happened literally this week, you are in the city that pioneered a lot of this kind of technology. I think it's time that every one of our companies take a look seriously at this KPI, robots per capita, and obviously as a country, robots per country. And by the way, the United States, we're sitting down literally with Spain and being crushed by the Singapores and the South Koreas and the Germanys of the world that literally have twice the per capita robots than we do. So what I want to talk about in this few minutes that I've got in leading up to Dick Vermeil is really just two simple ideas. And I'm going to call it the power of one and the power of many. First, on the power of one, and many of you have heard me talk about this, but I think it is the single most important strategy decision every one of us needs to make, and that is, what is the word or two we can end up owning in the minds of the marketplace? Look, Google owns search, and by the way, they stole that from Yahoo. If you want to crush your competitor, take their word. And I think Yahoo has literally floundered because they've not been able to reposition who they are in anybody's mind in the marketplace. Our son just graduated, 17, from high school this weekend. And I remember when he was first born, my wife was adamant, Julie was adamant, that we needed to have the safest car. And sure enough, we bought a Volvo. BMW, who's had an unbelievable record year again, has built their entire strategy really owning two words, kind of an idea in your mind, which is the driving experience. And so I think first, the power of one is, what is this single idea, like Tim Ferriss owns 4 Hour, that you can get about owning as a company and as a person out there in the minds of the marketplace. Number two, now I've got my new book coming out, Scaling Up, in the fall. It's the first real update in 12 years to Rockefeller Habits. And let me tell you one of the key things that we've learned over that journey. And that is, and it was really Greg McCune, who's got a new book out called Essentialism, that awakened this idea within me. And that is that the idea of priority, the root meaning of priority means one, and that when you pluralize it, priorities, you actually bastardize it. And I remember in Rockefeller Habits, we talked about the top 5 and 1 of 5. And then kind of later on, we said less is more, and we started to gray out 2 of the 5 boxes. 3 was better really than 5. I am absolutely convinced today that what you've got to leave, if you haven't already made that decision, this NERV event, that is being crystal clear. What is the absolute #1 priority you need to get your organization focused on over the next 6 to 18 months? Some of you have heard me tell the story of Mark Zuckerberg. You know, Mark, youngest self-made billionaire in the history of entrepreneurship. Yet, December 2011, he wakes up in a cold sweat and he realizes that Facebook had missed one of the most significant trends, like robotics, and that was the mobile trend. And so in a panic, he kind of pulls everyone together, all 10,000 employees, literally under a white tent at Facebook's headquarters. 2,000 are there live, 8,000 beamed in like I am for this event. And they think he's going to be announcing January 2012 the pending IPO. That would be a big enough priority in and of itself. But you know what? He barely mentioned it in passing. And instead, he said, look, we have to go mobile. And for the next 18 months, every single acquisition, every single hire, every single ounce of code that was written was focused around just one simple, single priority: mobile, 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 mobile. And even though the IPO was successful, yet the stock crashed and everyone was thinking maybe the Wonder Kid had lost it, Mark knew what he needed to stay focused on. And we know the rest is history. A year ago, May, 18 months almost to the date, they went mobile and have exceeded every single number, revenue number from mobile that the analysts thought was possible. And guess what? The stock is almost up twice its offering price. And last quarter, 50% of Facebook's revenue came from mobile, whereas the cover story last week of Fortune magazine was all about how Marissa Mayer at Yahoo still hasn't even got, mobile on the radar of their company. And so, look, Facebook almost lost it, but Mark understood how to get the company refocused, stayed on a single priority, which he announced to all 10,000 employees, and he drove that to success. And so, what's this? What's the one thing that would trump the next 74 that you would have on your list, that if you guys could get that accomplished in your company in the next, again, 6 to 18 months, would move your organization forward significantly? And then I want to focus on this one phrase strategy. And Doug's going to talk more about it in the 7 strata, but I'm convinced that probably one of the biggest issues that I've seen over this 12 years again since writing the book is we have an affliction as entrepreneurs. We're pleasers. We really do want to listen to customers. We really do want to take care of their needs. But I can tell you, customers can easily want you right to bankruptcy. And my favorite book that's come out, probably one of the top 2 strategy books this century, Uncommon Service by Francis Fry, would be one of the 2 books I would recommend in this few minutes that I have for you to take a read. Again, Uncommon Service by Francis Fry. And at the heart of that is ultimately figuring out what is the key to making a bunch of money. If you look at IKEA, which only owns 5% of the global furniture market, yet is clearly the leader from a market cap and profitability standpoint, at the very heart of their business model was a simple one-phrase idea: flat pack furniture. They're not having to ship or store any kind of air. At the heart of Southwest Airlines strategy was a very simple phrase, and that is wheels up. If their hunk of metal is in the air more than their competition, they make a lot of money and the others don't. And their machine is in the air on average 2 hours more per day. Maybe John Ratliff's going to share with, or Barrett Ersig's going to share with you his kind of rad concept that's at the heart of his new business, making a bunch of money. So I really want you to think about 3 number ones, if you would. What is this word or 2 that you can own in the minds of the market? Get on your devices and Google that word or 2 and see if your lesser competitors ahead of you on this. Number 2, what is the single most important priority you need to get focused on that's going to move the organization forward? And then number 3, what is your one phrase strategy? What's the key that you're going to hold on to that's at the heart of you being able to make a whole lot of money out there in the marketplace? Now, to wrap up, I want to now, though, kind of come back to what then I consider the power of many. And I want to come back to Facebook, because at the end of the day, Mark has done more in kind of a decade than a lot of companies have done in 10 times that in 100 years. And at the heart of that is a business model, not unlike Amazon's, not unlike a lot of the companies that have rocketed rapidly this century, is they have figured out not how to get just the right people on the bus, but how do we get absolutely the most people on the bus? Think about it. Over 1 billion pages. And who's done all of that work for Facebook? It's been us. And he's had to pay us nothing. That is a great economic model. And so I want to finish with this simple example to kind of compare IDEO with Quirky. Here you've got a company, IDEO, David Kelly launches out of Stanford, 1991. It's been the company that powered the Apple mouse and the Microsoft mouse and a lot of other products. Today, 550 employees, 130 million in revenue. It's a respectable company. Let's speed forward 17 years later in 2009. Quirky launches with a different business model, though. Rather than IDEO trying to attract the smartest design talent you could find on the planet, Quirky said, let's open it up to the crowd. Let's get as many people involved as possible. The results raised over 91 million. This year, they will surpass 100 million in revenue, up from 54 million last year, 250 plus employees. They're doing in a handful of years what it has really taken IDEO a couple of decades to achieve. And so what I want you to do very simply is get clear as the leader. What are your number ones? And then realize that in this century, you don't need to have the answers. In fact, absolutely, I don't think we do know what the answers are. Our job then is to tap into as many brains as possible, the crowd, if you would, and bring that to bear in terms of our own business model. So there's the power of the one, and then there's the ultimate power of the many, and then go befriend a robot. Eric, thanks so much for this opportunity to open up this very, very important event. You guys all out there, enjoy the next few days. Thanks, Eric.
Sorry I'm a little late. I was taking notes back there. I had to finish up all my notes. That Verne, he's a rock star. Speaking of content, when I come away from any kind of EO event, the thing I remember most is good content. Yeah, I like hanging at the bar. Yeah, I like the social events. But when I get an idea that can make my company another $1 million, that's what I remember. And the EO Nerve Philadelphia committee sat around a while ago and we said, how can we jam more content for our EO brothers and sisters to absorb and take back to their own chapters? So raise your hand or give a little clap. Who likes a good TED Talk? Right? Bite-sized chunks for entrepreneurs like us. So we said, how can we create some kind of TED Talk style event? And if you guys were in on the email conversation, we asked EOers to submit a video. Not a video promoting their business, but something they're passionate about or something they're working on that they wanted to share with the entire crowd. So over the next 3 days, you're going to have a sampling of the 5 best TED Talk style videos that were created by fellow EOers. Now, I want you to pay very close attention. Not only are they filled with fabulous content, but we have a little competition here. You know, EOers like to be competitive. And at the end, we're going to vote for the best EO Speaks video. So here's our first one. I just wanted to make sure that I introduced him correctly. Doug Parker from EO Western New York.
Something startling is about to happen, something that has never happened before. Over the next 50 years, more than $41 trillion of wealth will pass from one generation to the next. $41 trillion from our generation to our children's generation. Now, to give you some perspective on that, the entire economy of the United States, our gross domestic product, has a total value of about $17 trillion. $41 trillion is a big number, and it's ours for now. What's alarming, though, isn't how big the transfer of wealth is. What's alarming is how little we are doing to prepare the next generation for that transfer. The next generation, like a lot of the last generation is remarkably unprepared to inherit a windfall. Think about it like this. You're about to hand your kid the keys to a Maserati without ever having told them how to start the car. Obviously, there's a disconnect. So my question for you is this. How have you prepared your children to steward the wealth that they're about to be charged with? All of human evolution is a process of building on established knowledge. Let me offer you an example. Benjamin Franklin clarified our understanding of electricity and conceived how to collect and store it. Edison and a host of other inventors figured out how to harness that electricity and use it to improve the human condition with discoveries of lighting and communication. In 1936, Conrad Zuse figured out how to convert electrical pulses to data and then to manipulate that data, and he invented the first programmable computer. And we all know that Al Gore invented the internet in the 1970s, but then in the 1990s, Steve Jobs took all of that accumulated information and consolidated it into a modest handheld device. What you carry in your pocket today is the evolution of a discovery over 250 years ago. It is the process of building on accumulated knowledge. So how often does family wealth benefit from that same fertile building process? The truth is rarely. The fact is that the model that most families follow is they accumulate wealth and then they typically burn through it in 2 to 3 generations. What I'd like to share with you is an idea of a simple and powerful model that will give you and your family a fighting chance at using what you've created to better your family's long-term future. I call it leaving fingerprints. It's much simpler and more effective than you might guess, and most importantly, it's not about disclosing what you've accumulated or what you've created. It's simply about connecting and training, but training in a way that's not in your face. There's 3 steps to the process, and understand that all I did was create a framework around what successful families have been doing for generations. Now, Nick Murray said that wealth is like a river. It deepens and it widens as it falls to the sea. And he was right. The idea is to facilitate the process so your wealth can cascade through the generations rather than to be absorbed by one generation. So, 3 steps. First, create a family foundation. Now, before you tense up over that, know that a family foundation can be as complex and expensive or as simple and remarkably inexpensive as you choose. I chose a simple and remarkably inexpensive approach. It's called the Community Foundation Model. Just about every town and community has one. They're easy to find, they're easy to work with. The premise is that you pool your funds with others in the community for administrative purposes. They take care of the federal charity filings, the IRS returns, everything that could make this burdensome. Next, create a board of directors. Now, this is your chance to engage with the next generation or two who will eventually be the stewards of your family's wealth. I invited my children, and in our case, my son-in-law, to act as our board of directors. I told them that I would commit to an annual funding in the account. They, as the board of directors, and this is key, they would have to be responsible to meet twice a year and distribute the foundation's funds and invest the balance. I put 3 restrictions on our board: that we could only distribute half the balance each year, that we could invest the balance for future giving, and that my son's college fraternity was not one of the charities that we could choose to support. Other than that, the world of charitable giving was theirs. Last step, organize regular gatherings of the board. Now, I organize our meetings of our board twice a year to discuss how we're going to distribute half of this year's contribution and how we're going to invest the balance for future use. The board, of which I only have 1 vote, decides both investment and distribution policy as a group. My kids, and hopefully someday my grandchildren, meet with me twice a year. We talk about what we value as a family. We talk about how blessed we are and which organizations in the community are best positioned to make real and lasting impact. We talk about our investments in our portfolio. We talk about how they're performing and whether they're supporting our mission. Something startling is about to happen. Someday, the next generation of your family is likely to inherit some significant wealth. And my question for you is this: how well prepared are they?
Thought that was fabulous. Hope you did as well. So, for our first live speaker, we have a very interesting person. I've grown up in Philadelphia for 48 years. I am about to introduce the mayor of Philadelphia. It's a special moment for us as a EO Philly chapter. We're very excited to have the mayor kind of greet all of our colleagues from around the world. The mayor and I have something very much in common. He grew up in West Philly. I grew up in West Philly. He loves the city of Philadelphia. I love the city of Philadelphia. He's the mayor of Philadelphia. I'm only the mayor of the Kalis household. I'm working on that. But today I'd like to introduce the mayor. Recently, my last kid, who's one of the volunteers today in the orange shirts, he went off to college, and my wife and I decided we're going to move back into Center City. Why? Because Center City, Philadelphia is the best, in my opinion, that it's ever been. The mayor has done a fabulous job of making it a wonderful place to live, work. We're having a wonderful renaissance of restaurants and craft beer, and right now we're at the peak, and we're so glad you're here during this time. So without further delay, I'd like to introduce His Honor, Mayor Michael Nutter.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Eric, thank you very, very much. I was so disappointed that you didn't mention that we both have goatees, but just can't get him to do certain things. Can we please give our NERV 2014 chair, Eric Kalis, a big, big round of applause? Thank you. And Vijay Kadnani, our president of the Philadelphia chapter of Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, and a graduate of the 10,000 Small Business Initiative by Goldman Sachs. Please give Vijay a big, big round of applause as well. And a couple other graduates, Leo and Amy Volishin, who run, of course, PrintFresh. They hosted a Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business reception at their business. They invited me to the event today, and both Leo and Amy and Leo, thank you as well, not only for the invite, but more importantly for what you're doing here in Philadelphia. I know that some of you are out-of-town guests, mostly up and down the East Coast, so first and foremost, let me say good afternoon or good evening. Welcome to the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. We are excited to have you here this afternoon and at one of the most iconic buildings actually in the United States of America, the Lowe's Hotel, but formerly this was the first skyscraper in the country, PSFS building. To the business owners and entrepreneurs from Philadelphia, thank you for doing your business and creating jobs in our city. On behalf of the finance director, let me also say thank you for paying your taxes. We so greatly appreciate that. Thank you so very much. He makes me say that at every event. To those of you who are currently located in other places, why? You need to be in Philadelphia. You heard what Eric said. This is one of the great, great cities in the country. I understand everyone has to be somewhere, but let me tell you a little bit about the city. Born, raised, educated, created all of my trouble right here in the city of Philadelphia. I'm proud to be the 98th mayor of my hometown. We've had some tough years like many other cities across the country through the course of the recession, but Philly is in fact coming back and coming back strong. Our unemployment rate is at a 6-year low. There are more jobs in Philadelphia than there have been in the last decade. Unlike many other cities across the United States, our unemployment situation has significantly improved, almost back to the levels that we saw pre-recession. The Great Recession was tough on our city and many, many others, but life goes on and we still have to do the fundamentals. We still got to pick up trash, move snow, fill potholes, make sure that there are jobs and economic opportunity, focus on education, and make sure that the city is a safer place. Last year, Philadelphia had record lows in terms of violent crime in our city. One shooting or one homicide, of course, one too many. But the Philadelphia Police Department and our communities all across the city working in partnership, and again, getting more people to work, dealing with folks who are returning citizens, making sure that they have opportunity as well, and supporting our entrepreneurial and technology communities have been goals of ours and a point of focus from day one. We've also tried to improve the business environment, specifically by lowering our wage and business taxes here in the city across the board, and we've also introduced some targeted tax cuts for new and growing businesses in our city. Supporting small business, you hear it from time to time, it really is true. Small business is the backbone of the economy of the city of Philadelphia, and we try to support our small business community, again, all across the city, small business lending programs, storefront improvement programs, and grants to help business owners fit out their new spaces. We're heavily involved in the startup scene in the city, providing funding through our Economic Development Agency arm, PIDC, Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation, helping early-stage companies and grants that are provided by our Commerce Department and programs that help our entrepreneurs grow and succeed. We borrowed an idea from one of our great suburbs to the north, New York City, and created Startup PHL. Seriously, we did borrow the idea from Mayor Bloomberg. We put up $3 million of the city's money, put it out to bid because that's not really our main line of work, and asked the entrepreneur and venture community to match those dollars and then manage them away from the city of Philadelphia. So we created a $6 million fund, and we've already started investing in many of those startup and entrepreneurs in our city. We're aggressively pursuing outside partners and sources of funding to help Philadelphia businesses start here, stay here, and grow here. I mentioned the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. Nearly 100 entrepreneurs have gone through that program. I've been to every graduation of the program. The stories are amazing, the things that happen during the course of that program. We certainly commend and thank Goldman Sachs for choosing Philadelphia as one of their sites. And since then, as I mentioned, about 100 companies have gone through this program. We're partnered with Community College of Philadelphia. And if you're in the region and interested in this program, I can certainly direct you to www.ccp.edu/10KSB. Or you can just talk to Diana Liu from our team, who is here today. She's in the back waving her hands furiously. It's amazing that I could see her, since there's about 10,000 watts of light shining in my face. I'm not actually sure there's anyone in this audience this afternoon. I was just told that there might be some people here, and I should come out and make a speech. I'm just kidding. In short, when we talk about entrepreneurship, when you talk about small business, when you talk about creating a proper business environment, you're having the right talk in the right place. The city of Philadelphia, the original startup. We started the country, and that's what we do, and we do it well. And so I want to commend all of you for having this event here in Philadelphia, and enjoy the rest of NERV 2014. Take care. Bye-bye.
So thanks, everyone. So let's get into the meat of our program now. I'm going to tee up one more EO Speaks video, and then we have Coach Dick Vermeil coming out. Once again, don't forget, we have a mobile app. If you haven't accessed it yet, that's how you're going to be able to vote for the EO Speaks videos and do speaker evaluations. So make sure you fire that up as well and get ready. So our next EO Speaks contestant is Chip Dodd.
Hello NERV, Chip Dodd here with the EO chapter of Coastal Virginia. I'm pretty much a new member to EO, and I really look forward to coming to NERV and sharing some experiences that I've had with my local chapter when it comes down to passion and culture and the type of organization you're trying to build, as well as your personal life and the things you can do to make your life even better.
During my onboarding process, I went to a lot of learning events and forums and other type of activities. And I found out there's a couple common themes that I learned about from meeting other EO members and the kind of problems that they basically described. And I wanted to share those with you and some possible solutions. The first most obvious thing that all the EOers that I spoke with were most frustrated about, the things that plagued their organization the worst, was their workforce. The second less obvious theme that I found out about, and this one has a little bit of a part A and a part B, was that the EOers somehow were missing that passion in their life. And it could be for their business, or it could be for their home. That thing that drives you, the thing that wakes you up and makes you excited to go to work. Maybe it's that thing that you first started your business in the first place. To get the fulfillment you need as a business owner, you've got to find out what your vision is for your company. Not profit, not bottom line, not success and market share and growth. What you need to find out is, what is it that your business is actually doing to make a difference in your community or the people around you? It doesn't matter if you're making a widget or selling houses or providing a service. You have to find out that thing that gets you up, that makes you want to be the best. You need to clearly define it and articulate it. So now that you've identified your passion in your business and your mission and your values, now it's time to find a workforce that agrees with that and that also can have that passion. Identify the culture of your organization and then go through great efforts to find people who share that culture, they're going to fit in well, and that can have the same passion that you have.
Even though your business is doing well, sometimes there's situations in which your personal life just don't seem fulfilled. There's something missing. Just something is not right when you look around. You get off work and you don't look forward to going home. You have a weekend, it's beautiful outside, and you just can't figure out what to do. Mow grass, paint a wall, catch up on laundry. It just feels like the whole world is just spinning around you.
It doesn't matter how successful your business is or what your passion is in your business if you also don't have a passion in your personal life. Maybe you participate in your church or your kid's soccer league. Maybe you're a Boy Scout, Scoutmaster. Maybe you donate money to a charity that you know makes a difference in people that you care about in your community or the world in general. I found my passion is in outdoors. I have many hobbies. The main ones that I am obsessed with are mountain biking, rock climbing, skateboarding, wakeboarding, photography, basically anything that gets me outdoors and gets me an adrenaline rush and allows me to hang out with friends. It's important to build into your life the things that you like to do. And make sure that it gives you a reason to get home from work. I mean, all the hard work, it leads you to something in your heart, and you have to find your own passion. And so I'd encourage you to find what your passion is and build it into your day-to-day life so that you can start feeling fulfilled and have the highest quality personal life as possible. Also, share it with other people if you can. And you too, one day, might find yourself on your own rock wall, in your own warehouse, drinking boxed wine out of a camera lens, talking to a GoPro strapped to your head. I'm not here to judge. Once you've found your passion, both in personal life and in business, you've surrounded people who share that passion. Now the next step is to share it with your other EO members. And whatever you do, don't compromise. Don't stop. Keep fighting to find the passion in your life, both in business and in your personal life. Surround yourself with people who share that passion. And you will be happy, you will be fulfilled, and you will be the best business owner you can be. Cheers, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Nerve 2014 Platinum Partner, M&T Bank, please welcome Ira Brown.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I see the mayor was right about the light, but I do know you're all out there. That was a great video, really pretty inspiring. So, unlike the mayor, I am one of those people who are from one of the great suburbs up north. I'm from New York originally, even though I've been down here in Philly for well over 5 years and have come to love the city. And I think you're all going to find the Renaissance is in place, and it's just a great place to be. Really a lot of fun. And to me, as a former New Yorker, sort of a reforming New Yorker, I always get a kick, and maybe you'll have a chance to get down by the Liberty Bell, look around Independence Park, and you think about George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, you turn around, what's directly across? A bagel store. I'm always fascinated by that, because you can't get bagels here in Philadelphia, so if any of you are here looking for them, it's going to be a challenge. What else can I tell you about Philadelphia? I think one of the speakers said something about Wheels Up. I had to fly to Buffalo yesterday. I found out I was number 22 in line at the airport. So it took us a while to get our wheels up, too. That's another characteristic of Philly. So for those of you who flew here, you have our sympathy. On behalf of M&T and Wilmington Trust, we're really pleased to sponsor this event, to be the platinum sponsor. You'll learn more about our bank tomorrow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it now because I want to introduce the coach.
But we believe, to quote Verne, what's the one good thing you need to know about a bank? And that is that we understand your business and we'll take the time to do it. I think many of you, judging from those who are here today from the Northeast and even out through Western New York, have heard of our bank. So we don't really need to spend a lot of time on that right now. But we've forged a good relationship through Lori Osborne and our counterparts at the bank's effort with EO here in Philly. And we really look forward to doing more and more with you and listening to how you do business. It's already in my short time here, it's been pretty informative, and look forward to learning more. So, to introduce the coach, again, I said I'm a reforming Philadelphia, a reforming Philadelphian. My memory goes back to the miracle at the Meadowlands. Hopefully, none of you will hold that against me, but I was a big Giant fan at the time. Herb Edwards ran that touchdown back, and I still haven't really fully recovered from that, and hear it about every 10 minutes here in Philadelphia. But Super Bowl trophies get us over that. So anyway. That's right. Only four, though. Only four. But there's a great new coach in town now, and I really believe we're on the right track. So, like I say, don't hold that against me. And if you want to talk about it at the bagel store tomorrow, we can. So I've got a lot of highlights, a lot to read about the coach. Most important, his son works for us at the Wilmington Trust side of the business, so that's been really important to us. But let me just hit some highlights in his career. First, and I'm just going to read some captions, which I think say it all. Distinguished coaching career, 15 seasons as an NFL head coach. Played by, and I don't know where the coach is, but he was played by Greg Kinnear in the film Invincible. Now, for those of you around the city, you know that Mark Wahlberg was the star of that movie. But obviously, that's a great story, and the coach's role there was really important. Started as a high school coach in '59, worked for George Allen at the Redskins. That doesn't make any sense. Went on to UCLA in '74, where the Bruins won the Rose Bowl over #1 ranked Ohio State, which is a great thing. He came here to turn, and this is a quote, to reverse the fortunes of the downtrodden Philadelphia Eagles. And he proceeded to do that, 4 playoff appearances, NFC Championship win over the Dallas Cowboys. I've been here long enough to know that's a big deal. In fact, that's a great thing. Returned to the NFL in '97, and then, of course, in '99, won the Super Bowl, which we're all very proud of. Excuse me? Oh, okay. All right, good. That was Super Bowl 34, if I'm reading my Roman numerals correctly. Went on to Kansas City, and of course, now in semi-retirement, the coach, if I can say that, the coach has a winery, world-class wine, is involved with many charitable events here. We're pleased as a bank to be a co-participant with him in many of those, but he really differentiates himself in the community here. So with that, I'd like to introduce Coach Vermeil, who's going to talk about common sense principles of leadership, and look forward to seeing you all over the next couple days.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, M&T Bank, and thank you for taking care of David Vermeil and his 3 wonderful children, my grandchildren. It's wonderful to be here, and I thank the organization for inviting me through David Vermeil. I thank M&T for sponsoring it. I thank EO. You know, I am not a business person. You are. I am now a business person in a way in being in the wine business, so I maybe gain a little appreciation for what you are all about and why you're here. I respect the fact that you are here to listen to people so you can maybe go on and do your job a little bit better and be a more successful entrepreneur. But I appreciate these opportunities because I miss coaching, okay? I was a football coach, nothing more, hopefully nothing less. And when you've coached as long as I have at the different levels, high school, junior college, and the NFL, and all of a sudden you find yourself not doing it, you appreciate opportunities to have a team to coach for a little while. And it's not that I think I have so much important things to pass on, it's just that I miss it. I miss it. And, you know, I'm 77 years old. You're too old to coach in the National Football League. You know, I have the energy to coach in the league. I don't have the stamina that I used to have as a young coach. And my personal makeup of emotional, intense guy and that, you wear out a little sooner than maybe you should. And there's probably a number of you in the room that have the same profile, AAA, okay? But anyway, I have fun doing these. I don't get many opportunities anymore, but I do take advantage of them, especially here in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is my city, my home, and Stan drove me in here this afternoon. We drove through areas I had never driven through myself. You know, it's a massive city and it's changed, and I've been here long enough to see the city really change. But we're all different entrepreneurs, okay? But the one thing that puts us all in the same ball game is that we all make a living working with people. It's almost impossible to separate yourself in your careers, especially true in the business world, from making a living working with, motivating, organizing, and directing people. And if you're a true entrepreneurial, you're probably in some form of leadership position. And over my coaching careers, I've learned from so many great young men, not sophisticated guys, I mean high school students, junior college kids and pros. I've learned through them what helps them be the best they can be. And my philosophy grew from seeing kids grow, and things that we did help them, and things that they did help me, and to form a philosophy that you can now use as you move on into the higher levels. And it started when I was my first head coaching job at Hillsdale High School in 1960. You know, and I'm going to share these thoughts with you. I call them common sense principles of leadership because I found that common sense is not always common practice when it comes to leading, directing, and organizing and motivating people. Now, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to help you maybe motivate those around you. Because, you know, people have said to me many times, Coach, you are a great motivator. I say, well, I take that as a compliment, but what I really was a better evaluator. You surround yourself with the right people. You don't spend a lot of time motivating. You spend it by working, growing, getting better, winning more games. And they motivate you. And I was successful in doing that. And I surrounded myself with people I learned so much from. Today, driving in, conversation with Jaworski. We all know Jaws, okay? I can tell you the story of why it's called Jaws, but I don't have time, okay? But anyway, let me start. The number one principle, then the first and the most important, make sure your people know you care. Now, how fundamental and how simple is that? I say this because I think it's critical. People in leadership positions should like and care about the people they work with. I really believe good leaders have a way of people making feel that they like them, that they care about them. My coaching staff and I always worked within the concept, as I grew and understood it better, that players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. In fact, I believe the first step in establishing the trust level needed to lead, to connect, to manage, to motivate, and to sell to, is all developed through people believing the leader likes them, the leader and his staff care about them. I just don't think when you're in a position of leadership and trying to develop the trust needed to connect with, to influence, to impact, you can ignore this very basic human need, and I've seen a lot of people do it. And then expect your team, your organization, your people to give back to you what it's going to take you to be successful in the business you're in or the team you're coaching. Oh, I'll tell you this, we constantly tried to move the commitment from the head to the heart because we believed when successful, our players, our employees, not just the ball players, everybody in the organization, were far more apt to make contributions beyond the boundaries and responsibilities of their paycheck. If the only reason the person comes to work for you is you pay them, it's going to be tough to beat the Giants. It's going to be tough to beat, because they pay their employees too. You've got to add something to it. Caring helps, makes the difference. We called this an emotional, psychological paycheck. And if and when this took place, we felt our players, our organization, our people with responsibility would desire to be held accountable. They wanted to be in the inner circle. They improved their passion to win and always continued to strive to improve. Even more importantly, though, they would maintain their passion to succeed over longer periods of time. It's a long season in the NFL. In your businesses, it's a long year, and each year differs. There is no question in my mind, if you want to win over a person, if you want to win his trust, you must first win them over emotionally, knowing that the rest of his big ass will follow. You know, right? And yeah, you ever see some of these guys in the NFL? Huh? Pretty big guys. You better win them over, because physically I'm not going to win them over. Okay? Well, as a coach, it didn't take me long to realize the human mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. That's true with your own kids. I learned that from high school kids, just getting them to open their minds and listen. Not always easy to do. But if you have a plan and a reason you're doing things, you can focus on getting specific people with great talent that can make a real contribution to your organization to open their minds and listen. Boy, I'll tell you, it is so important. A human mind is like a parachute. They only work when they're open. And it was my job, when I became the head coach, to make sure I opened their minds. And then if I couldn't, hey, move on. Sometimes you have to cut the squad. There is no question in my mind, if you want to win over the person, you want to win his trust, you got to get him to open their mind and keep it open. As a coach, it didn't take me long to realize that it's not an easy job to get them to open their minds, you know, because they're all different personalities. And the more sophisticated they become, the more people they listen to, the harder it is to direct what goes into and comes out of their minds. It's simple. People do not give their best to leaders they like the least. Let me repeat that. People do not give their best to leaders they like the least. Players don't line up and play their best next to somebody they don't like the least. When you care about each other, it starts making a difference. What ultimately ends up tying a team to its leadership is the belief the leaders are helping them become what they want to be today, and also help them become what they want to be somewhere down the future. And you're all striving to build businesses with a better, stronger future. Now, people may very well hear your words, but they feel your passion. They feel your emotion, and they appreciate your compassion and attitude and conviction. And I'll tell you this, I learned a long time ago, intellect, technical, and verbal skills can help propel you as a leader to the top of most professions. But only using those talents with compassion and empathy can persuade people to listen, then follow you. Simple, but I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of people complicate it. You may be able to like people without leading them, but you can't lead them without liking them. People care about people who care about them. Caring is an everlasting impression, leaves an everlasting impression. You don't have to be a great leader or sophisticated to care about people. All you have to do is make the decision to do it. All you have to do is make sure the people recognize you're trying to do it. If you take care of, I've learned this especially in the NFL, if you take care of your people, they will end up taking care of you. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. I got a phone call today. I have a golf tournament in Chester County, Boy Scouts, 22 years. We've raised over $200,000 a year with this thing now. Get a call, London Fletcher. I don't know if any of you know, just retired, 16 years as an inside linebacker. Signed him in 1998 as a free agent. 5'8.5", 245 pounds, 40 pounds. Nobody wanted him. He would have paid us, okay? He would have paid us. He makes our team. The next year he's a starter all the way through a Super Bowl year, world championship. Goes on, be captain of the defense, goes on, gets a big contract, plays in Buffalo, gets a big contract, plays in Redskins. Okay. I get a call today, Coach, I'm coming to your golf tournament. He doesn't even live here. He lives in Carolina, retired. Come to you. Why? Because he knew I cared. When you care, they will care. And sometimes the rewards start coming back in continual, consistent performance that help your organizations win. Boy, I appreciate things like that happen. The number 2 principle, the next thing you have to be is a good example. As a leader, as a manager, one of the most important things you can be is a good example. When your actions speak for themselves, everybody listens. And those who look to you for leadership and guidance, measure your words against your examples and how you as a leader move your passion into action. I was really young when I came to Philadelphia, and there was no way I could hide what I was. And some guys I probably influenced positively, some I probably turned off negatively. I saw guys walk off the practice field my first training camp, taking their pads off and say, I had enough, I quit. Better to find out they quit now than in the fourth quarter against the Giants. No Miracle of Meadowlands, okay? Anyway, this is how you prove you are worthy of being followed and trusted. And also why I always tried to be what I wanted my people to be, what I wanted my people to represent, the entire organization. You cannot expect your staff, you cannot expect your team, you cannot expect your family to be what you are not. If you want a team to compete with a passion, then you better compete with a passion. If you want your team to be highly motivated and outwork your opponents, then you better be a hard worker. If you want them to be flexible, if you want them to handle change, if you want them to handle the tough times, then you better be the example. They better see in you, because they will see your weaknesses as well as your strengths. Once they trust you, they will forgive your weaknesses as long as your strengths are sincere and they know you care. Well, I know this. It is critical to be a good example. This is why I believe you communicate the power and the depth of your philosophies through the image and how you project yourself. Don't ever think your team isn't evaluating you. Don't ever think your kids are not evaluating you. Don't ever think I got 11 grandkids. Don't ever think they're not evaluating you. Just make sure they see in you what you want to see in them when they come to work. One last statement in regard to being a good example. Many times the most important influence in the life of a person is another person worthy of emulation. The fact that a good leader and his staff is willing to do and has already done what he's asking others to do many times can lead to being worthy of emulation, trying to be as good as the rest of the people in the company are being. Lead in a way that encourages emulation, realizing there is a big difference between impressing people and impacting people. There's a lot of guys make pretty good impression, but over a period of time, they don't impact. They don't make a difference in what you're doing. They don't make a difference in the win-loss column. To me, coaching was always more than just passing on what I knew about the game. It was also about passing on who I was and what I stood for. There's nothing wrong with you as an entrepreneur to letting people know what you stand for. Your value system, everything, what we stand for, what our company is going to be up and highlighted. This is what we stand for. Be a good example. There is a big difference, again, between impressing people and impacting them. If you want to be better leaders, better managers, you must not only know yourself and define your values, you must live them out so everybody that's around you can see it. Marcus Luttrell, I'm a big reader of, now when I have time, I'm retired. Military stuff. Marcus Luttrell wrote the book Lone Survivor, the movie Lone Survivor. He's the lone survivor. And he made this statement: you don't get people to follow you by demanding it with words. You do it by commanding it with your examples. Be a good example. That statement impressed me so much, and it is so true. And I have seen some people screw up their careers. Not that they didn't have the talent, but they were poor examples for everybody around them. Yet they could get in and get some things done. When I came to Philadelphia, very seldom do you ever get hired to take over a winning team. Geez. 18 years? They had 16 years when I got it. They hadn't been in the playoffs. You got to try to be that bad. Yeah, really. You stop and think. There's not one organization in this room that could be somewhere for 16 years failing and still be in business. See? That's what's so great about Philadelphia. They still buy the tickets. That's it. Try it. Don't try it in your own business. All right. Number 3, fitting right in with caring and being a good example, is working to create an atmosphere in which people enjoy working. An atmosphere in which people enjoy giving themselves to each other for all the right reasons. I learned a long time ago The quality of your organization's attitude will be directly proportional to the quality of the atmosphere you and your staff create for the organization. It's your responsibility. Developing this quality atmosphere all starts with you, the leader, the boss, and his leadership staff. Being perceived as authentic, being real, being approachable, being trustworthy, being empathetic, and surrounding yourself with people who believe and represent the same things. What the hell would it be good for me to be coach of Philadelphia Eagles? At that time, I had the largest staff in the National Football League, 10 guys. My last staff at Kansas City had 21. See, I got older. I wasn't quite as smart. I needed more help. Okay, but anyway, if the people around you don't exemplify your beliefs and care like you care and are good examples, then the atmosphere is never going to be consistent throughout the entire organization. And you've all been in companies where the guy goes here, he closes the door because he didn't want to hear the other guy hear what you have to say. And I mean, I hate those kind of organizations. When you go into losing organizations in the NFL, normally that's how you find them. No one talks to each other. Someone has a little meeting, got two guys over in the corner and they're talking and whispering over a cup of coffee, and someone walks in, they shut up. That's why they've been losing for so long. No one's ever brought them together. No one's ever made them feel that their responsibility can help make a difference somewhere down the road, make a difference in winning and losing. That's a lousy atmosphere. Let me ask you this. If a person doesn't believe in you and your staff, what makes you think they'll believe what you and your staff have to say? Shit, that's a waste of time. They aren't going to listen. They'll listen for a little while, especially if you win. When you start losing, boy, they don't listen anymore. They jump ship right now. The turnover in coaching staff right now is unbelievable. First, the ownership's got so much money involved that they're worried about selling tickets next year. And then, we'll stimulate the market by firing a coach. We'll pay them off. We'll make that up in season ticket sales. But lousy atmospheres, and you've got to change the atmosphere. It is so critical. I've already stated they have to know you care. But to develop authenticity and to connect with your employees and your clients, you must approach everything and everyone, I think anyway, with a consistently optimistic, positive attitude, even when you're getting your ass kicked. Hey, I lost 8 in a row in St. Louis my first year back. That's hard to do. Not many teams do that successfully. 8 losses in a row. We did it. But I'll tell you, every day I came to work, I talked about winning. I didn't point you out, you big ass, for screwing the game up yesterday and costing me a win as a head coach. No, we pulled it all together. We built an atmosphere when they made a mistake and they would take that mistake and get better. And you gradually eliminate the mistakes. It worked. 3 years later, they won the world championship. 3 years later, they won a world championship. That's why I made it a practice to never discuss losing in permanent terms. Never discuss losing in permanent terms. Yeah, you corrected. A positive attitude takes you toward positive results. Just like optimism is essential to achievement, confidence building, courage, true progress, and maybe even more importantly, maintaining consistency. Now, this is not meant to be a pitch for the power of positive thinking. It's more to emphasize the importance of non-negative thinking. It's more about focusing on what is right, what is good, what we can do better. Leaders who continually create worry and doubt within their organization don't inspire confidence. In fact, they don't inspire anyone or anything, in my opinion, okay? It is so easy to be negative. Some of the worst things I saw in high school coaches were people that were negative with kids. Young kids believe you quicker, faster. And you tell some kids he can't do something, he will believe you if you tell it more than 2 or 3 times. See, I always thought, hey, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. Not you can't do it. Now, it's not that I didn't recognize the negatives, because I just chose not to dwell on them. A negative outlook and it takes you toward negative expectations. George Allen used to say, I worked for him 1 year, first special teams coach in the NFL, 1969. He says, the only coach in the NFL without problems is dead. They buried the guy. Problems in the hands of the right leadership team and the right leadership coach are your most important possessions. Take advantage of them. Grow, learn from them, correct them, help somebody who has talent correct his mistakes so he refines whatever contribution he's making to your organization. No person, no team, no company is immune to tough times. We all know that going through these last 7 or 8 years. Use them for future success. Sometimes it's better to look at problems as obstacles rather than problems and move forward by streamlining your process while making the necessary changes and by not forgetting the 3 things we all need to be successful. I call it RAP: recognition, appreciation, and praise. I don't always bring my wife to these when I do these because she'll say, shit, where's this at home, Dick? You know, excuse me. But you know, we all take things for granted from time to time. You know what I'm talking about. Recognition, appreciation, and praise. I used every real opportunity to praise recognized improvement, though I didn't wholesale it. Don't contaminate your reward system. Nothing worse than being an organization, someone tells somebody that he did a good job and everybody else in the organization knows he did a lousy job. You lose credibility. Boom, down the hill. Then he doesn't listen to you and doesn't believe you when you're telling him he did a good job. All right. Make sure they realize what was good enough last season, maybe even last week, or yesterday may not be good enough today. Got to get better every day. Just don't pass up an opportunity to let somebody know you're grateful. Because if you do, a feeling of satisfaction, oh, I'm doing the job good enough, and you become complacent. A lot of organizations that have been successful fail because they allow complacency to fall into the personality of the organization and that football team. Complacency is an attitude that allows competition and opportunity to catch up and is the reason some successful organizations fail. Self-esteem, earned and confirmed, is very, very delicate. Most of us know this. And showing appreciation tends to enhance it. If you want a player like your quarterback, I had 3 NFL quarterbacks. All 3 of them played in the Pro Bowl, 2 of them played in the Super Bowl, and 1 of them played in an AFC championship game. Okay? 3 for 3. 2 of them were undrafted. Jaworski was a 2nd-round pick, side saddle quarterback out of Youngstown State. They threw that formation out years ago. Came to Philadelphia, he came to Los Angeles Rams. I was a young assistant. I liked what I saw in this kid. All of a sudden, he's playing 3rd string in the Rams. I come to Philadelphia. I trade for him. I traded an all-pro tight end named Charlie Young. Remember Charlie Young? 1st-round pick out of USC. Good player. Went on, had a great career, but I got Ron Jaworski. People said, Ron Jaworski? Well, first off, he's Polish. I figured he would fit really good in our community. You know, he's tough-minded. He came from a hard-working core family, and he would take the abuse at a young age that a quarterback in Philadelphia is going to. Again, it's good, but they need the self-esteem, and they need someone that can consistently convince them they can do it. They can do it. Just keep going. Kurt Warner, I'll tell you, Kurt Warner goes from the most valuable player in 1998 on my scout team, voted by the defensive team. He is emulating the opponent quarterback through 16 games, okay? Played 16 snaps his entire career that year, his only year in the NFL. The next year, he's the most valuable player in the Super Bowl and the most valuable player in the National Football League and the lowest paid quarterback in the league, okay? Why? He was convinced he could do it. And we positively approach that. Yes, you can do it. He never played like a rookie. Took over the 4th preseason game of this year. Started against the Baltimore Ravens at home in St. Louis. Good football team. Threw 3 touchdown passes. First game he ever started. Born with natural poise. Hard to recognize sometimes because people aren't put in a position to display that they have natural poise. If you read the military books, you know, you can't predict who's going to win the Medal of Honor. They come in all sizes, all shapes, and they never showed that characteristic. But under pressure, it came about. I was very, very, very fortunate to be exposed to these kind of kids. And Trent Green, played 7 years in the league as a 3rd quarterback, never took a snap in a game. Okay? Kurt was the one who replaced him because he got hurt before he could take his first snap in a league in a game. Anyway, Take the time to create special moments to honor those who deserve it. Just don't wholesale it. It's amazing how much tolerance people can develop for handling praise. It's amazing. You keep telling somebody he can do it, you know something? You will convince him. And sometimes in the NFL, it happened to me in rebuilding football teams, even when we were losing, but we were getting better. You got a guy convinced he could do it to the best of his ability, and somewhere down the road you get a first-round pick that beats him out, and you convince him he can do it, he goes to the Pro Bowl. It's a snowballing thing, and it's the way we approached it. I don't know if I'm right, but I believe in it sincerely. There is no person in any organization, regardless of how insignificant his responsibilities may appear to be, that won't appreciate special praise from his leadership team. They all do. Some of my closest friends in the teams I've coached are the janitors, the guys that mow the lawn, the equipment guys, everybody. You never know. Plus, you never know who else on the team likes them and what they're talking about. Well, I don't mean to imply I didn't chew on them when it was called for, because I certainly did. But it was never meant to make a person believe I didn't think they could end up doing it real well somewhere down the road. Give them a crumb, okay? Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Hope always has a future as long as it's backed by a plan, some kind of a plan for tomorrow. I know this. Another critical factor in developing great atmosphere, which some of you have already probably experienced going through some of these tough years, is handling adversity in a way that allow you to maintain a positive attitude and remain optimistic while going through tough times. Recognize and celebrate the small wins, even in losing. When we would lose a game, my first couple of years in Philadelphia, the same thing, and we lost a lot of them, the same thing in St. Louis, I would take the best things out of a game film, and the first thing they saw on Monday was not everything they did wrong. It was everything they did well. I said, holy mackerel, you played like that on these last 3 snaps? Just imagine if you keep adding snaps per game to the quality of that snap, pretty quick we're going to be winning games, because collectively those kind of improvements become very powerful, and all of a sudden you're doing things. Incremental success compounds dramatically. It really does. It is. Gary, John Wooden told me this. His office was next to mine when I was the head coach of UCLA. He said, Dick, the success in your career will not be determined by how you handle the wins. Your success will be determined how you handle the losses. Never forgot that. John Wooden, I lose 8 in a row. 8th in a row, phone rings, 8 o'clock Monday morning in St. Louis. That is, 6 o'clock, okay, in Los Angeles. My secretary comes in. Suzette, she says, Coach wants to talk to you. I says, Coach who? She says, Coach Wooden. God, Coach just called me. So I go in, Coach, yeah. He said, Dick, you're struggling. He said, I've been following you closely. He says, but remember what we talked about? Your success in your career will be determined how you handle the losses. You've done it before. You know how to coach. You know how to win. Don't allow doubt to creep into your messages, into your organization. Just keep doing what you're doing and instill discipline and get rid of those that don't buy in, and you're going to end up winning. I said, thank you, Coach, and he hung up. It's probably the finest phone call I've ever received under pressure, because you get that kind of a call from the world's finest coach. What a difference that made to me. And it helped me through all the tough times. Well, sometimes, you get tested, Negativity is a part of our lives, and how we either use it to an advantage or allow ourselves to become a victim of it. You can do either. It's your choice. Well, through the help of John Wooden and through the players I've been around and the real strong personalities I've been around, I learned to use it as a positive. It's tough. Well, anyway, how you and your team think when they lose will be determined how long you keep losing. It can snowball. In summarizing this principle, let me say, positive influences and inspiration come from a person, not a position. I don't care what title you've got, what it is. It comes from you, the person. When you care and you're a good example and you're helping build an atmosphere, they will listen to. When a team enjoys coming to work, because the atmosphere is great, the environment's fun to be in, they are always tougher to beat. I believe that. And so I strive in the tough time to make it an atmosphere they enjoyed. That doesn't mean I wasn't going to work them hard. You know, hard work, not always a lot of fun. But anyway, number 4, you must realize you can't develop this great environment. You can't be a good example. You can't let them know you care without first defining goals and delegating responsibilities as you lead. I call this, principle of leadership. Define it for people. We had a saying in our organization that defined our vision as well as our mission. The main thing will always be the main thing. And this statement was written around a picture of the World Championship Lombardi Trophy. Here it is. This is Kansas City Chiefs. The main thing will always be the main thing. There's the Lombardi. That's why we come to work. That's why we have job assignments and definition of goals and responsibility. This is what we're striving to do. You know, I've never asked anybody to define me what the Lombardi Trophy was all about that knew it. I'd never asked a guy that knew the Lombardi Trophy was 22 inches tall. None of them knew the trophy weighed 7.5 pounds. A few of them guessed it was made out of solid sterling silver. They didn't know that Tiffany's Jewelers made it, and it took 72 hours for one craftsman to make it. At a cost at that time of $12,000. It costs more today. Now, but even more importantly, I wanted them to realize it would take an entire organization to lift the 7.5 pound trophy. But this is why we come to work, to earn the right to lift the Lombardi Trophy. What is your main thing in your organization? What is it? Does everybody in your organization know what it is? Let them know. Let them know. Well, the other thing I found out, having the opportunity to lift this thing twice, the Lombardi Trophy, and having been in that environment a couple times, it made me realize it takes the same thing to get there and lose as it does to get there and win. My Philadelphia team took 5 years to get there. First 3 years, we don't have a first, second, or third round draft choice. They're all gone. And they were losing. Okay? Well, my Ram team, we had first, second, third round draft choice. We're there in 3 years. But my Eagles did more in every way, physical, mental, emotional contribution to get there and lose than my Ram team did to get there and win. I went there with a better team, more skilled athletes, fastest football team in football at that time, doing things other people hadn't seen done at that tempo. They could practice and see it, but they couldn't duplicate what they were going to see Sunday on the practice field. And boy, all of a sudden, wow, you hit them in the face and they couldn't see where it was coming. But I know this, my Eagles deserved the win more than my Rams did. I went there as a more mature leader. I better understood the overall preparation for something that big. You only get so many opportunities. Well, now I also recognize because of that experience that you probably really don't appreciate a Super Bowl win, whatever your Super Bowl may be, unless you have experienced a Super Bowl loss. You know both emotion. You have felt them both. When you have lost one and then are given the opportunity to win one and you do, I'll tell you, there is a hell of a difference. There is a hell of a difference. But I'll tell you this, at that time I realized what the statement I made. It takes the same thing to get there and lose as it does to get there and win. And it helped me mature as a leader when I really started to recognize that. I know this, from when everybody has defined responsibilities and takes them seriously, then you proceed to sell these visions with great passion. Anytime a team is bound together by an inspiring vision that they all see and believe in, these invisible intangibles created by this vision that tie people together are far more apt to be realized. Far more apt. This invisible intangible is normally called their spirit, their team chemistry, Spirit is far more than an attitude. It's an emotional muscle you can use if you have it. If you don't have it, you're in trouble. But if your organization has people with spirit because you're creating it in the things you're doing, in the environment with which they work, it makes a huge, huge difference. It's an emotional muscle that can be exercised if you have it. Boy, a detailed definition of purpose always plays a major role in developing this winning team spirit, this team chemistry. Poor definition does just the opposite. If they don't know where they are going, how will they know they got there? You've got to direct them. I really believe it. You must be, as you're doing this, you must be implementing your vision, your values, your process, and your relationship building program. As you're going through this whole thing, it's all going like this. To do this effectively, you must delegate. I grew to realize true leadership on high performance teams is a shared leadership position. So delegate appropriately. Focus on using your talents and strengths and delegate to others opportunities to take advantage of theirs. Seek collective power by sharing collective knowledge. I didn't do a real good job of that. I think it was partially my own immaturity as a leader. When I was here in Philadelphia, my own insecurities, I had to do it all. I had to stay up all night. I have gone to bed in my office at 6 in the morning and gotten up at 8. A great story I like to tell, he's passed away. Ken Iman, I coached him as a player in the Rams. I hired him, made a coach out of him, brought him here. We're at 8 o'clock meeting during the season, about 1980, 1979. I said, Ken, he comes in at 5 minutes after. I said, Ken, you're late for the meeting. He said, Coach, how can I be late for the meeting? I slept in a sleeping bag behind my desk. But I was blind, and that eventually caught up with me. And instead of, it became counterproductive. So you've got to be able to recognize where the peaks are that are making contribution to winning and what's causing the valleys. What's causing the valleys. And by sharing leadership responsibilities and defining plans for people, how they can help you look smarter than you really are. But to me, I learned how to do that better. I learned how to do that better. And it is so, so important. Delegating authority doesn't mean you're delegating away your own responsibilities to lead. It is not a sign of laziness. And I think most of you recognize that already. But anyway, harness the power of shared thinking. Seek people that are bright. I don't know how many people are here in Philadelphia following the Eagles when I was there. 1979, I hired a 70-year-old assistant coach named Sid Gilman. 70 years old. I was in my early 50s or 40s, something like that. I'm 77, so I don't figure it out. But anyway, I hire him. I hire him to come and help me grow offensively. Let's get better. And he was like having a walking encyclopedia, a dictionary of the history of the game, especially offense. He doesn't get credit for as much of his contribution to the game as he should, because everything you see on Sunday, a lot of the original thinking started with Sid Gilman. Anyway, I brought him, he helped me a lot. Helped Jaworski a lot, helped our offense a lot. Same guys, he did it better. Harness the power of shared thinking. When you do this, people become loyal to each other because they know they're making a contribution. They feel important. They feel that you're listening to them. They feel that you're not the only guy that's making a contribution to winning. Well, it's I've seen it work positively for me, so I really, really believe in it. Don't ever lose sight of the fact to your road to your Super Bowl is going to always be under construction. It is always under construction. Every single day you come to work. And with the competitions you have, and the other thing I say about competition's your ally, not your enemy. Find out what the hell they're doing real well. Cheat. Find out how they're doing it. Tom Landry taught me a lot. Dallas Cowboys kicking the Eagles' butts like they did. I had to find out what he was doing and find a way to do it better. So he was like on my side. He was forcing me to get better by studying what he was doing well. And more often than not, it was not their techniques, it was not their scheme, it was their people. It was their people. They had them doing it better. Well, don't ever lose sight of the fact that the road to your Super Bowl will always be under construction. Realize there's no limits in your future if you don't put limits on your people. I start talking about winning right off the bat. Winning. And you didn't win. My win-loss record, God, it ain't great. I think we counting. If I eliminated my first 2 years on every job, I won about 70% of my games. But when you include those first 2 years, it's down in the mid-50s. Okay, so it makes a difference. But realize there are no limits in your future if you don't put limits on your people. Just make sure they're the right people. Now, who are the right people? To me, the right people are the people who have the right skills. Find the people that have the right skills, capable of doing the right things with these skills. At the right place, on your team, on your side of the line of scrimmage. And doing it for all the right reasons. For the right leadership team, which helped create the right attitude to put these right people together and kick ass in your league. You know, it is so much fun when you see an organization grow because they're doing the right things with the right people. People don't always remember what you said or even what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Let them in the game plan. No secrets. Let them in the game plan. Number 5, principle. Number 5, you've got to go to work. Not difficult. Got to go to work. That's what you got to do. Well, bring competitive energy to your workplace, attempting to help people realize hard work is not a form of punishment, nor is fatigue an enemy. They're allies. This is what you do to be the best you can be. This is what you do so your organization can be the best organization it can be. Hard work is not a form of punishment. There are people that have worked hard that think they're being punished. Most of them in the NFL quit. A lot of them, I've had them walk off my practice field in junior college, in college, and in pro football. I say goodbye. Goodbye. Harder to do that today because the union, the NFL Players Union, controls how you practice, how much time you're on the field and everything else. But anyway, it would be difficult for me. But if that's the rules, then you'd have to live in them. But anyway, these prices always have to be paid in advance. Hard work. If you are a leadership position, you've got to do it with high energy, both physical and emotional energy. High energy leaders harness the collective energy of their people, and as a result, they generate a work ethic or a work effort that can blow your competition away. And if it doesn't blow them away, it allows them to close the gap from where they are and where they need to be at the end of this year, and then where they need to be the end of next year. Plus, you get there now where you need what you need to do to stay there. I admire the New England Patriots, what they have been able to do, okay, to get there and stay in the heat of it the whole time. Well, I'll tell you, they're working at it. They've got something going on real right beside their quarterback. It's bigger than him. Well, I believe most of you realize the positive contribution of high energy leadership doesn't always show right away. But sooner or later, it becomes contagious. And it starts affecting the entire organization. It affects the individual positive, it affects the unit positive, it affects the team positively. And there is always a transition period. There is always a building period. For me, it was my 3rd year. Philadelphia Eagles, we won 5, we won 4, I think. No, we won 4, we won 5, we won 9. Thank you, Miracle Meadowlands. Okay, in the playoffs. St. Louis, we win 5, we win 4, we win 13, we go in the playoffs and win the world championship. In Kansas City, we win 6, we win 8, we win 13, get all the advantage, and we can't beat Peyton Manning in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl. We can't beat him. We won 9 in a row. 9 in a row. We're the only undefeated team for 4 weeks. There were teams that hang on, undefeated, and all of them, they all dropped off. 9 in a row we won. I'm proud of our work ethic and the philosophy right here, because I have another statement that most people don't recognize. It's true. All 3 of my pro football teams, my coaching staff football teams, each team at one time that we were there was the only undefeated team in the league coming out of training camp. And they used to bitch and moan, I overworked them and I killed them and I drained them and all this kind of stuff. Every team we coached together at one time was the only undefeated team in the league. 3 different organizations. And I take pride in that. But the thing I realize, as a leader, you are never energy neutral. You are either transmitting energy to your people or you are sapping it from them. And you have to know when to and when not to. Be demanding. Push them beyond their comfort zones. Force them to improve their self-discipline. Oh, if you can help somebody improve their self-discipline, push your team beyond their comfort zones. Self-discipline alone, learned and endured, is an unbelievable contributor to the overall performance of a team. Well, these principles apply long after you start winning. It's what keeps you winning. Just make sure you manage your own energy as you transmit it to others. I did not do that. And the people that knew me when I was here through the 70s and or 82s, when I walked away and said, I've had it, I got to take a year off, I mean, I was a mess because I could not control I allowed a passion to become an obsession. When you do that, it's a spiral downhill. I'll tell you what, I would lose a game. Now we're a good team. I would lose a game on a Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was still thinking about what I should have done to win last Sunday. Now I got a game coming up Sunday. So that's negatively influenced my performance as a coach, getting them ready to play next Sunday better. Wrong. It can happen. The other thing that happened to me is we would win one, big one. I would enjoy it for about 5 minutes. Coming out of the locker room, my first thought would be, holy shit, we play Dallas next week, we play the Giants next week. God, how are we gonna win this one? You know, rather than enjoying the moment. My wife I can never forget this. We beat Dallas for the first time, Monday night, November. 4 years it took to beat Dallas. We're in Dallas, we play them on a Monday night. Wilbert has a great game. Carmichael catches a 4th and 1 pass from 40 yards out for a touchdown. I thought it was a great call. He just jumped up above everybody and took the ball away from him. Again, he made me look smarter than I really was. Okay. But we're on the airplane now, and my wife traveled with me. And we get on the plane, we're going up, and I started talking about the next week game. She says, for criminy sakes, Dick, what's it going to take you to learn to enjoy a win? But that's what I allowed myself to do. And poor self-discipline. A passion became an obsession. I had to walk away from the game. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. Well, I know this. Sooner or later, people have to realize it's a hell of a lot easier to go from failure to success by working hard, working smart, than working together, than any other process you can put together. That's simple. All right. Those people who recognize continual improvement come from a compelling desire to win and have a chance. A compelling desire to win. And you have them on your staff. Just make sure you give them a lot of responsibility. Let them play. Give them the ball. Put the ball in their hands on the goal line. Makes the difference. Well, excuses and obstacles people choose to put in place are often used to justify not making changes. Remember this statement. Working with information you already know is not new learning. Your offense doesn't get better if you don't let it grow. Your defense doesn't get better if you don't let it grow. Working with information you already know is not good learning. You've got to keep improving. Well, I know this. If you're one of these, you're an energetic leader, boy, it's an advantage. Use it. Use it. Push them with a smile on your face. You can make them mad. First off, if you really are working somebody hard and they know you care, they'll buy in. They'll walk off the field absolutely exhausted, but they will buy in because they know you care. And you're not doing it for your own personal gain. You're doing it so the whole organization can be successful and he individually can get a bigger contract on the way. Well, principle number 6, and it's the principle I enjoyed the most. Build relationships as you implement your vision, values, and process. Every leader, every manager, every teacher has their own style. To me, I was a relationship leader. That's me. That's my emotion. That's my personality. You all have different personalities. But building relationships within your personality can really help your organization grow. Sometimes my personality was an advantage. Sometimes it was a disadvantage. Hopefully, more often than not, it was an advantage. I have a very hard time leading anyone with whom I can't personally connect with and trying to develop a good working relationship. Normally, when I was struggling to connect with a person, a player, while trying to develop a working relationship, it was I just couldn't trust the guy. I just know what he was going to do when he left the stadium. I didn't know if in this office that they really were doing what I'd asked them to do. He displayed attitude problems. Attitude problems account for about 85% of the failures in our society today. And that's a Harvard study. And I couldn't get in Harvard unless they invited me to coach a football team. So I read about it, okay? Anyway, you know what if you can't build good relationship, then there's no way you can lead, inspire, influence, and impact these people if you can't build a relationship with them. I believe that. Move on. Get them a job. There are always people that have to be removed from your equation. Sometimes it hurts your feelings. Sometimes you have to do it. Okay, well, that's what you do. I learned a long time ago, taking this relationship approach, relationship building is not always a reciprocal process. So when I was young and immature as a high school coach, it used to bother me if I couldn't get to that kid. And I liked him. I really, I couldn't get to him. He had little holes in his personality that were deeper than the person trying to get to him could handle. In most NFL relationships are no deeper than the win-loss record, especially true with ownership and management teams today. I mean, it is. Someone told me there were 14 NFL coaches since 2000 to 2014 and had been fired after one season. Hard to build a relationship in that environment. And I haven't gone back and studied it. I should, because probably they'd been losing for a long time. Well, in the NFL, you very seldom get the time it takes to develop a deeper, more sincere relationship. And you're not always afforded the time that ties into your responsibilities assigned. But you learn that. To me, I worked on coaching the owner. I had 3 different owners, became very close to all 3 of them. Because why I wanted to develop, I wanted him to know I cared about the team and his responsibilities as an owner, but I wanted him to care about me and buy into my approach. So when a player snuck up the back door and went into the guy, hell, the player's making more money than the coach, and says, hey, this coach is an idiot. The owner doesn't listen, closes the door and sends him back down, said he's the leader, go follow him. That doesn't always happen. This is why I always tried to give more than I expected in return. Many times you can and will be pleasantly surprised. You might find out what I did. Relationships are not built. They're continually being rebuilt. It is a daily process, ongoing thing. Here and just boom, boom, boom. I've been married 58 years. It doesn't get any easier. Okay? It's amazing. 58, you got to be kidding me. But you know what I'm talking about. It's an ongoing process with employees in an NFL organization, employees in your organization, with the high performers, with the low performers. It's an ongoing process. Relationships are not built, they're consistently being rebuilt. Though it'll never happen if you don't have an organized relationship building philosophy in process. Do you have one? Have you ever thought about an organized relationship building process that would bring people closer together, would teach them to lean on each other, communicate better, talk to each other, eliminate secrets, ask for help, and develop a deeper level of trust? Well, remember this, there's only one thing more infectious than a good attitude, and that's a bad one. They too compound. So it's your job as a leader to either change or eliminate bad attitudes as you reward the good ones. This is also why it's so important to realize the best player for a position is not always the best player for a team. That was demonstrated here with Terrell Owens. Remember that? No question the best player for a position, not necessarily the best player for a team. Well, as a head coach, I always held myself responsible as a leader to get everyone functioning as a team, not just a collection of talented people. Talent alone will not get it done. Everyone in the NFL has good talent. Everyone you compete in has good talent. Some of them have great degrees. I've got lots of experience. Good relationships can make a difference. It can be a difference maker. I never wanted to base the overall success of my football programs on having the best players. It is tough to do. I wanted to have the best I could have all the time, But it's tough to be better than your opponents, especially when you're good, especially when you get up there and you're competing 10, 11, 12 wins a year. It's tough to have better players. What can make them a better team is better relationships, because they care about each other. They're a good example for each other. They're hardworking guys. They know what their responsibilities are. It's defined their discipline. Now, I never wanted to base the overall success of my program on having the best players. Hard to do. When you get a team to truly hold themselves accountable, because of great relationships, they will take on and share the responsibility, both the positive and negatives. And they'll remain flexible. They'll work, even though they don't like it sometimes. They'll keep going. And they'll help you win today, and they help you keep winning in the future. I think even when the future is negatively influenced by turmoil, they will work to become the benefactor of their turmoil. I've seen it happen, and I believe it sincerely. They will remove their attitude from a required attitude to a loyal want-to attitude, want to make a contribution. This is why I was a big believer in relationship building off the field, in an atmosphere totally different from the intense environment we worked in. Hard to develop a relationship in a meeting room, on the practice field, in a game day. You work at it because you're believing it. But I loved getting my players home in my house. My wife is probably fed over all of from high school through pro, 90% of the football players I ever coached. First strings, third strings, doesn't matter, okay? And in the NFL, it was even more fun because it was all in the off season. You know, all right, linebacker and wives night, along with, we could seat 18 people. And then we drink wine. And I wasn't making wine then, but born and raised in Napa Valley, we'd teach them how to drink good wine, you know. But they see you in a different light. You say, you know, God. And then my wife was great in making some kid feel at home, feel comfortable, come in the house, you know, and not be nervous around the boss, around the head coach. And I normally included the assistant coach to coach the positions. But I learned so much about kids that I had never learned on the practice field. I would have never learned in a meeting room because you shut up, they're listening. In the locker room, I'm not there that much. Hell, I'm doing all these other things. I learned so much that I felt, help me help him be the best he can be. Now, if we collectively help each kid be the best he can be, what happens to our team? They get better. And the other thing that helps is kids sitting around a dinner table or an environment away from work develop a little personal relationships within themselves because they've never been with them in these environments. It's amazing. There are a lot of people who don't believe this, and I don't give a damn. I believe it because I've seen it, I've witnessed it. Invariably, when I run into a player that I haven't coached in years, and Carol's with me, they'll say, Mrs. Vermeil, are you still making so-and-so dish? That's the first thing they'll ask her. And if I had time, I could tell you some unbelievable stories. One, I hope I don't run over. One, I am at this Pro Bowl. I'm coaching the Chiefs. I give the trophy to the most valuable player in the Pro Bowl. There is a kid sitting in the stand, a Samoan kid sitting in the stands. He sees me there. I coached him in junior college years ago. He's back living in Hawaii. He goes home and he gets on the phone and he calls every hotel until he finds out where we are staying. Hello, coach. This is, oh God, it's coach. And I'm trying to understand, who in hell is this? Who is this? This is Bernard Cordero. I played for you at Napa JC. Oh, Bernard, hell, I remember. How can you not remember about a 5'9", 300-pound guard? You know, how could you not remember? Had zero money. 5 of these kids came over and found places in junior colleges to play. Well, they came to College of San Mateo where I was an assistant. They were not eligible to play. Not because they had to develop residency. I leave and become a head coach at another junior college. They follow me. These 5 Samoan kids, they follow me. One kid's name was Atomic Connie. Why? He was born when the atomic bomb was dropped. His mother named him Atomic Connie. Okay? That's the truth. That's the truth. Well, this kid finds me. He says, can I come over and see you, coach? I said, sure, but we're leaving at noon tomorrow. He says, I'll be over. Come over. Come on over for breakfast. So he and his wife come over. The first thing he said to Carol, Mrs. Vermeil, you still making that tuna casserole? Me and JC, we were making $7,500 a year. We weren't serving them steaks, you know. But it's amazing. It's amazing how the size of contribution good relationship making can make to the overall organization, and also touch people involved. Well, people are impelled to return to you the feelings you create in them. If you have good relationships with your people, they will then give you permission to lead them. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I believe it. Last principle. And I saved this principle, number 7, for the end, because in my mind, it's the foundation of which other principles are built. You must be sincere. People can spot a phony, especially over a period of time. As a leader, establishing credibility is probably the most important attribute required to develop in communicating with, working with, connecting, and influencing people, regardless of what organization your organization is set up to do. And the most important prerequisite required to establish credibility is being evaluated as being sincere, being believable and trustworthy. And by being a quality performer yourself, they see you doing it. You notice I said established credibility. The reason I say established is credibility is something it takes a long time to earn. And if you haven't earned it, you can't use it. We've all seen people that try. And with earned credibility, leaders can continue to connect with, communicate, impact, and influence their people. Without it, they gradually disconnect. You all seen teams start out good and go like this. They gradually disconnect because they gradually find out the leadership is not sincere, they're not real, and they're not trustworthy. The only way you can earn credibility is being evaluated as being very sincere, trustworthy, and perceived as a person and an organization built on the foundation of integrity. There's an old saying, if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. So true. In fact, you know, I'm in the wine business. Here it is. There's some of these cards out there. I bought 100 of them, but it has these principles on the back. We made a bottle, our last bottle, a combination. We make 100 cases of it. It's called Integrity. It was my idea, and I'm not a good marketing guy. Believe me, I give more wine away than I'm. Anyway, it's. We all need a glass of integrity from time to time. We need just a little sip, a reminder of what's really important to be successful in our world. I know this, people with integrity, they have a clear definition of what is right and what is wrong, and the integrity to stand up for their beliefs. This is why it's so important to realize credibility is so much easier to lose than it is to gain. Therefore, always be sincere. Don't take it for granted. Protect your credibility. It is the most precious commodity you can own as a leader. And the best way you can earn it is to live what you communicate. Live what you communicate. Tell the truth. Be honest. Never compromise your integrity. You know, telling the truth doesn't always work. I say that. I come home. I'm retired. I'm an Andy Reid fan, all right? I'm a Chip Kelly fan. And I see what they say to the media, and I know they're telling the truth, but the media doesn't believe them. See, sometimes the truth just doesn't. Sometimes the truth is so simple, it's not understood. It's too simple. Why'd you lose the game? Well, we threw 2 interceptions. Oh, geez. That's why? Yeah, that's why. You know, you're -1 in the National Football. You're -1 in turnovers in the National Football. You lose 70% of the time. Okay? -2, you lose 80% of the time. We threw 2 interceptions. We had a 20% chance to win. So you give them that as an answer, they don't believe you. Think you're lying. Oh, see, you know, tell the truth anyway. Tell the truth anyway. Never compromise your integrity. Once you make the first compromise, a second one is bound to follow. I've seen that so many times. I used to tell my players, especially in the NFL, really in the NFL, especially in my last job, because the league is so high profile. I says, guy, nothing good happens after midnight. Now, you remember I said this to you. You start reading the problems that NFL players get into. Read at what time, the problem occurred. After midnight. Oh, I used to hate those calls after midnight. I didn't want to pick up the phone. Oh, what's it going to be? Oh, geez. I mean, it's unbelievable because there are no secrets. I'll tell you the truth. When I was coaching the Eagles here, if I had a player get in trouble, cop would call me, hey, coach, I got Joe and Joe over here. You know, your linebacker, he said, look, he drank a little bit tonight. I took him home. I just thought I'd tell you. Okay. Yeah. You know what I've had that happen. I had it happen with coaches one night. Coaching the Walt Whitman Bridge. We got 5 of them. They lived over in New Jersey. We just finished the draft. I took them all out for a party. We had a great time down in South Philly. Oh, we drank too much wine. Drove home. They got stopped. The cop escorts them home. Okay. You know what that would be today? ESPN, USA Today, every sports network there is. Suspensions and everything. You know, we take ourselves sometimes too seriously. Now, I'm not making it right for what they did wrong, but it has all changed. Nothing really good happens after midnight. That's all there is to it. I say this. Don't allow ego or greed overpower good judgment. Don't do that. Be supportive in the tough times as a leader. Great leaders and staffs are a never-ending source of encouragement. The younger they are, the more important it is. The younger they are, the more important. So many kids never became what they had the ability to be because someone at an early age told them they couldn't. Bullshit, okay? I'll give you an example. Dick Vermeil, standing right up here. My mom and dad didn't graduate from high school. I'm the first one in the family graduates from high school. A school of 130 kids in it, 29 in my graduating class. I was not going to college. Not going. I was going to work in my dad's garage. We're going to change it. It's going to be Vermeil and Sons. He's going to tear down the barn and turn it into a first-class building. Vermeil and Sons garage. High school coach convinces me. A new coach comes in, worthy of emulation, says, you know, you've been screwing around. You haven't taken college prep. You're a college caliber student. You can play college football. I said, oh, I can play college football? Oh, I'd like to try that. So, you know, and all of a sudden I think, well, I'm playing a little college football. Thinking, God, I'd like to coach this game. I'd like to coach. But I went to the junior college. I took all the tests. The lady told me to go home and work with my dad in the garage. Honest to God truth. I went back and coached that junior college in 1964. Okay? The lady was still there. She was still there. And we shared some good laughs over that. And she remembered it. But anyway, don't ever forget how you got where you are, who helped you get there. You know, I've always been a believer players win games, not coaches. So that's why I'm very, very grateful to my players. That's why I'm very, very close to my players. I have great relationships with them. Some of my closest friends I have. Unbelievable guys. Well, relationship building, a caring relationship building can move beyond just caring. Honest to God truth now, there are some people who won't believe this, but it can move from a caring one to a loving one. Okay, I have a phone call this morning from Harold Carmichael. The last thing he said was, love you, Coach. Harold Carmichael. I coached him when? 1976 through 82. He's hit the Eagles. We've stayed in contact all these years. Okay. It's not the kind of love he has for his wife or his kids or his grandkids, but it's a term he uses that goes beyond respect. It moves beyond. And I have said it many times to players, love you. God, I love you, buddy. See, you are something special. You don't wholesale it, or else it loses meaning. But there are people that you're around. There are people in here that have done it. You're around that move into a different category. The more your organization, the more your team is moved closer to that kind of relationship, the more games you win. Promise you. Even when you're not supposed to be that good. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of guys play real good football that never were supposed to be as good as they were. But they kept growing, and building relationships, and everybody pulling together. It's amazing. Well, the last statement I'll say, and I'll sit down, in your organizations. Your future, your career belongs to you. Treat it with great respect. Hold yourself accountable. Nobody owes you a future. No one is entitled to a great future. So go ahead and assume total control of all the things that create and dictate a quality future. You and only you are the sole proprietor. Strive to become the architect of your own future by representing and by committing yourself fully to the constructive use of right now. The constructive use of now. You know, I read this not too long. Actually, I heard it, an interview, Oprah Winfrey radio interview. And the guy said, the only moment that never ends is now. Stop and think. The only moment that never ends is now. Take advantage of the now moment. Take advantage of those. Every moment you have. Now, hey, we're all going to fall back. Nobody's perfect. But boy, I think about that. Even to this day, I don't coach anymore, but I'll tell you, I study leadership. I read it. I have learned so much since I quit. I wish I could go back and do it again with the knowledge that I've gained since I retired. I've reinforced things I believe in, which I have presented to you. I've recognized areas where I made a mistake. I've recognized where I needed improvement. And I've enjoyed these kind of opportunities of sharing these thoughts with people that, hey, they're not coaching football, but they're working with people. Trying in your business, trying to make your business successful. You know, I'm in the wine business. I was making 150 cases of wine for fun with friends. And some real good friends with a lot of money who doesn't care how much they lose said, let's turn your hobby into a business. So that's what we did. Well, being in Pennsylvania is not a good state to go into the wine business, but it's all Calistoga related. My hometown, 170-acre vineyard. The lady that owns it was my babysitter when I was born 77 years ago. She's still running it the same old-fashioned way. Okay, at 93 years old, God love her. The Freddie Annie Vineyard, 170 acres of grapes. Anyway, that's where our grapes come from. But I've learned a lot. My problems we have in the wine business are people not doing what they said they were going to do. Good intentions, just didn't do it. Oh, I forgot. I called the guy today. I said, listen, I'm going to St. Louis for 3 days in 2 weeks, and they don't even know yet we made 300 cases of Chardonnay. What the hell's going on? Oh, I forgot. Oh, geez. That's a good excuse. I forgot. Well, fortunately, he doesn't forget very often, so you forgive him. You forgive him. But anyway, become the architect of your own future. Hold yourself responsibility. I know this. When I have done a halfway decent job of making people know that I care, of being a good example, and building an atmosphere at which they enjoyed working, defined their responsibilities and their mission, and then gave them an opportunity to do it. And I taught them to bring energy to the workplace because I did it and my staff did it. Built relationships within this entire process, and they believed it. We were sincere. We end up winning. Winning is not complicated. People complicate it. I've complicated it. I know it. I know it is. And the higher you go up in the ladder in competition in business or in the sports world, the tougher it is to keep winning. The more important all the little things end up being. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into a question and answer session here in a second, but I just say thank you for being my team to coach for an hour. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you, Coach.
Well, thank you, buddy. I'm a hugger.
Right.
Okay, that's the Italian side of me.
Thank you. It's a gift from us to you. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming out. That was absolutely fabulous. Running a few minutes behind, so I think we'll move on for the questions and we'll just go from there.
All right.
Coach,
thank
thank you so much. You mean so much to Philadelphia.
Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but that was excellent. Let's go on to just a bit of housekeeping and then let's start the party, okay? So the first thing is, we're going to talk about are our keynotes that are coming up. We just saw Coach Dick Vermeil. That was absolutely fabulous. In that same vein, we have a couple other guys. Tonight we're going to have a lot of fun together. I would highly recommend that you save a little energy to get up early tomorrow and see Gary Vaynerchuk. If you've never heard Gary Vaynerchuk speak, you're in for quite a treat. And in the afternoon, we have Randy Jones. Randy Jones is going to tell us how to be the richest guy in town. I would also not miss that session. On Friday, Mike Maddock, one of our EO brothers in Chicago, is going to join us. He's called the Idea Monkey. I'm sure that you will go home with a suitcase full of nuggets. And finally, on Friday afternoon, to close it, we have Rudy Carson. Guy sold his business for $1.3 billion to IBM. That's billion with a B. I'm sure he's got some nuggets for you there as well. So once again, please check out your schedule. Now, tomorrow we have an action-packed day. One of the goals of NERV 2014 here in Philly was content, excellent content. Each and every one of these breakout sessions is top-notch. Now, the challenge that you have is which one to pick. There are so many, and they're in all different areas of the hotel, and not all of them are on the same schedule. Some people will only speak twice. Some people are here for 6 sessions, 2, 1, 3. You got to really watch the schedule to make sure that you get the content that you're looking for. All of these speakers are highly rated speakers. All of them were completely vetted by the NERV committee. I guarantee and stand behind each and every one of them for a fabulous experience. Speaking of schedule, if you happen to notice, turn your badge onto the back. Little cheat sheet we created for you that basically will show you where you're supposed to be at what time. Now, it doesn't have all the detail of the breakout sessions, but it's giving you a guide of what the rhythm of the entire conference is going to be. So lean on that. And let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we have early morning activities. We have right into breakfast. Breakfast will then go into our first keynote session. Then we have 2 breakout sessions, lunch, another breakout session, and we finalize with a general session at the end of the day. That's also the same general feel for Friday. So we'll go 2 days in a row of kind of having that same rhythm. Starting with the morning, if you did not sign up, there is still room to either run the Rocky Steps, where Kevin, our photographer, is going to take the classic picture of you at the top of those rocky steps. Or, if you're a little bit more low-key, join us on the top of this building on the 33rd floor for a little morning yoga with a fantastic view of the sunrise of Philadelphia. Once again, both of those are 6 a.m. Check your schedule and your mobile app for more details. Now, we wanted to, once again, more content. So let's use breakfast as an opportunity to really get to know your colleagues in different industries. If you're in the agriculture industry, then there'll be a table at breakfast that has a little sign that says agriculture. If you feel like doing a little networking or learning from your peers, find that table, sit down, and have a nice breakfast with someone in your industry. If you don't feel like that, no problem. There's some empty tables as well. Forum members can get together. New friends that you might have met tonight can get together. It's really up to you, but we're giving you the opportunity to network and learn from your peers. Next, we got the mobile app. If you see, here's exactly what the mobile app looks like. You have the full schedule. You have all the speakers so you can check them out and decide in advance which ones you want to go to. You have all the contact information of the committee. So if you have a question or a challenge, you have all the people there that can help you out. There's basic information on the hotel, the entire conference on that button. And of course, I want you to evaluate each of our speakers. Not for us, we already know who's speaking, but we want to give feedback to future EO learning chairs and people that are planning events to see what the feedback was. So we really want you to evaluate. It's on your phone. Take 2 seconds, give a quick evaluation, and it'll really help out future committees. And of course, because we said that everything is walkable, and we have a little bit of a complicated situation in our hotel, there's a couple of maps there posted as well. So if you get lost, you're turned around, please use that as a little guide to help you on your way. Do not go over the bridge to Camden. I want you to make sure you know that, okay? Also, we want to be social, very social. And you see we have hashtag NERV 2014. Let's do a lot of posting. There's some great things that you can take pictures of or comment on and let the world know what we're doing here in Philadelphia for the next 3 days, really becoming the best entrepreneurs that we can be. So in the room next to us, right here, is the NERV Marketplace. We created a little place where EOers can come and proudly show off their business, not from a selling perspective, but showing some really cool innovations of what they're doing. There are about a dozen tables over there that have EOers that have stepped up and said, I got something interesting to say. Check it out. And we've also bribed you, like I said earlier, by putting the snacks in that room, so if you want your cookie and your caffeine, you got to go over there. Finally, starting a new program, new tradition here at NERV. See these sponsors that I'm about to go through? They are what makes this event what it is. So I'm starting a new program called Hug a Sponsor. When you see someone with an M&T badge or a Dell Blank Rome or any of the other sponsors, I'd like you to give them a little hug and say thank you. Really, really important, because those guys were the ones that really fueled all the little extras that you're going to experience over the next couple of days. And once again, all of the partners are right outside these doors here lined up. So every time you come to a general session, come by a minute or two early. Check out what they got going on. They have some really cool offerings, and they wouldn't be our partners unless we thought they were a perfect match for EOers. Now, let's talk about tonight. As you can see from my physical appearance, I like a good meal. And Philly has some kick-ass food. I just read an article that said that the absolute best farmers market in New York is located 90 miles south at the Reading Terminal Market. And that is exactly where we're going tonight. The Reading Terminal Market is directly across the street. Not a problem. What you'll find there is a great selection of a lot of different kinds of foods with a Philly flavor, so you'll get to taste some of our local flavors as well. After that, we're going to have some evening activities, and I want to introduce now someone who's going to take you through some of those, but first I have to have my Ben Franklin quote. And this is an easy one, and it doesn't come with a complicated story. Beer is constant proof that God loves us and loves to see us happy. One of our partners is Susquehanna Brewing Company. They were kind enough to donate a lot of the brew that you got up in your registration tonight at the Reading Terminal Market and throughout all of our events. So they got a couple different flavors you could check out. Obviously, this is a big part of our thing, is to socialize as well. So don't be shy. Grab a couple of Susquehanna brews, and their team is here as well, so you can say hi and thank you also. What I'd like to do now is call a very special member of the NERV Philly Committee up onto the stage. His name is Paul Alford. Paul Alford was the chair of this entire evening event, and he's going to take you through the steps of what we're going to do now.
Hey guys. Thank you, Eric. Is everyone getting a little thirsty? So tonight's event, as Eric said, is over at the Reading Terminal Market. When the social committee was putting on everything that's going to happen after hours, we wanted to bring you the best of Philly and give you a true taste of Philadelphia. So if you go to nerve2014.com, you'll find on the tab of Best of Philly, we still have a few events that we're looking to fill for the weekend. We have the Red Pedal Tours, which is basically a bar crawl on steroids. We also have the All-Star MVP Suite at the Phillies. Jack Daly is our special guest in the suite. You know that's going to get fun and festive. And we also have some VIP tours that I'm arranging with some of our club reps that will begin at about 1:15, and that's a 3:05 game. So the Reading Terminal Market, which we're heading to directly from this session, was at its present address from 1892. It's the longest continuously run farmers market in the United States. And it's much more than a farmers market for those of you that have been there. There are all kinds of different vendors and foods. We have everything from Asian to Cajun to cheesesteaks to the #1 sandwich in the US as voted by viewers of the Travel Channel, and that's Tony DeNick's. Their roast pork with broccoli rabe and sharp provolone. I gotta make sure I don't slobber on myself. It's unbelievable. And we'll be serving you that tonight too. So get over there early because from 7 to 9 the food will be served. The food vendors will shut down at 9, but don't worry, the booze will be flowing until 10:01. We have Molly Malloy's in the back that is featuring some different Philadelphia breweries as well as your top shelf liquor. So we've got you covered there. After 10 o'clock, we're going to be headed to, if you look on the mobile site, you'll see there's 4 different bars. Brew, Craft, Time, Drury Beer Garden, and McGillen's. They're all about 2 blocks south of the hotel. If you do wear your EO Nerve badge and you show that, you will receive different special EO discounts. And 2 of the bars actually will have a little special EO room. So there's so many different choices here in Philadelphia. Obviously go out and explore, but in this little grouping of bars, we wanted to put together a mini after-hours bar crawl so you'll know where the majority of the EOers will be. Well, when Eric and I were talking about tonight's event, I was thinking about one of my most fun and festive evenings was New Orleans GLC. And I don't remember if it was 2009 or 2010, but we were in the basement of the Ritz-Carlton cocktailing, and we heard this big boom. We're like, what's that? And it was this high school marching band that came flying in, and they took us out onto Bourbon Street, and we had our own private EO Mardi Gras style parade. It was awesome. So here in Philly, we don't have Bourbon Street. We have Market Street or 12th Street, and we don't have a high school band, but we do have some very fun traditions. And one tradition that all of you may be familiar with is our New Year's Day Mummers Day Parade. So some people were asking a little bit about the mummers. Well, in our spirit of the best of Philadelphia, we wanted to bring you one of the best mummer bands. And literally, after they come in and perform, we're going to follow them down the street, and we're going to end up at our evening venue, which is the Reading Terminal Market. So we're going to try to do the parade again, but Philly style. So the Freilinger String Band is the most consistent top winner of the New Year's Day parade prizes over the last 25 years. They've won first, second, or third place in 20 of the last 25 New Year's Day parades, 16 first prizes overall. They were organized on December 18th, 1914 by Dr. John J. Freilinger, a Philadelphia physician, pharmacist, and also the team doctor for Connie Mack's Philadelphia Athletics. This year, they're celebrating their 100th year together. So, yo, EO Philly, bring on the mummers!
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to follow the mummers out to this evening's festivities at the Reading Terminal Market. Tomorrow's general session begins promptly at 9 a.m. Have a good evening.